Yes, $100. One you gago.
Dere Roland, salut à toi papa.
Ah ouais.
Kabeyulo, assez gagne non.
Na you babo number. Na you babo number. You ni money awule o. Oh babo sule o. Na you babo number. Na you babo number. Mao, Dani yeri yo. Mao, Dani yeri yo. Dani yeri yo. Dani yeri yo. Na you de o demo. Na you de o dere o. Mama Veki solo. Nyokwane nyokwote Asiata. Palisco Anse. Mao, Dani yeri yo. Mao, Dani yeri yo. Dani yeri yo. Dani yeri yo.
Gaye Gisèle, t'es habillé.
Na you de o dere o. You the one de o. Opa bobo. You the one de o. Opa bobo sule o. Mr. Winter, Mao na mi o. Mr. Winter, Mao na mi o. Mao na mi o. Mao na mi o. Na mi o. Yeah, na mi o.
Hippolyte Bayala, merci à toi papa.
Na you de o demo. 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 You de o demo. Yomi you de o. You de o demo.
Blé Jambel, assez haut.
Na you yeah, now you the one day up above Suma. You the one day up above Suma. How well, child who can listen his mother advice. This child always carrying wrong direction. Don't be that child. You are the wedding we are. Okwe bobo hunomo. You are the wedding we are. Wakwe ma wedding we are. Peye. Nadira nowa. Ye mo nolo. We enia. Ye biyo sawe dalo.
Tere Noël adou, maman Gao Robertine.
Asofo.
Un enfant qui n'écoute pas les conseils des parents finit toujours par emprunter un mauvais chemin. Papa Nambo Clément, monsieur le maire depuis San Pedro, merci à vous.
Sisi ọjọ́ sí o, ọ̀hún èdè ẹ̀wùlé ojo. Àwẹ̀ mọ̀lọ́ àní wẹ̀lì, àtà o mama Josephine Tiritae, Roy wẹ̀lì Adéayé.
Mama Nanu, àwọn yìí ni amẹ́lẹ́ o.
Watara Usu, Onazan. Ah, you ni one day ẹ̀wùlé. Ah, you ni one day ẹ̀wùlé o. You ni one day ẹ̀wùlé o. Agbábò kò sílé o. You ni one day ẹ̀wùlé o. Agbábò kò sílé o.
Benjamin depuis la série, merci à toi.
Yeah, I can see you.
Ọ̀hún èdè ẹ̀wùlé o. Benji Montagne, president for the Griot Association in America. Adele, Kabeyou Célestin, Massin Giro,
Solo Traoré, merci à toi. Christophe Gayechuway, assez au bras. Yahi Jérémy, Papou Kwaouse Kouké, assez.
Mao, 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 oh Mao, oh no Mao, de partout, yeah, de partout. Moi c'est daddy, yo. Moi c'est mon yo. You only one day, Ababo Bosuleo.
Big Manager Tere Noël,
Boutayon Dio, j'ai passé Tanya, Gay Bros, Ote Tele, Sekou Diabote, Idro Gaychuway.
Docteur Gao, depuis Gaychuway. Angèle Nyokonte, merci maman. Colonel Draman Touré, Jean-Paul Bamelin, merci à vous mon papa.
I said all the flow that she's supposed to work.
What can be in now?
On the list, or if it's not even on the list.
on the mix.
Québec, what play you there?
Can't see my woman.
Québec, what play you there?
Somebody help me from my woman.
She under the ground,
Can't see my woman.
she under the horse.
I go there alone. Can't see my woman. I go see Ninga. I can't see my woman. I go Cotonou. Care for my woman. Why can't a woman? She can't say that to us. Why can't a woman? Every day she on the run. I'm running, I can't see my woman. I'm lucky, I can't find my woman. I'm looking for my woman.
Québec, what play you there?
Can't see my woman.
Québec, what play you there?
Somebody help me find my woman.
She under the ground,
Can't see my woman.
she under the horse.
I don't know what to do. Investigation. I don't know what to go. We gonna call the police? I call the police. He said he now see my woman. I go to mommy. He said she now see my woman. I call mama. She said she now see my woman. I call papa. He said he now see my woman. Who got my woman? If I not see my woman, I got trouble. I'm looking for my woman.
Québec, what play you there?
Can't see my woman.
Québec, what play you there?
Somebody help me find my woman.
She under the ground,
Can't see my woman.
she under the horse.
Kuku jumuku, you nice, you nano. Kuku jumuku, you nice, you nano. You're my boyfriend or your who? You will know. I gave her money, plenty money, sense the money. To go to the market, come a fufu. Kebe say she coming, what they happy? I can't see my woman. Yo, yo, you will like it. Yo, 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 yo. Kebe eat something, something. Kebe eat something, something. She get to eat something, something eat her. Kebe eat something, something. Kebe eat something, something. Something. Give for my woman.
Kebe, what play you there?
Can't see my woman.
Kebe, what play you there?
Somebody help me for my woman.
She under the ground.
Can't see my woman.
She under the horse.
Okay, welcome.
Quebec.
Welcome to Group 167. My name is Gibson. I'm here again and
The ground.
Can't see my woman.
one of our back panelists already here, and the second person is here, but I don't see any picture display here yet. Levi Madison is on, but Jonathan Gaychuway is already here. Let me move him from screen here. I'll bring him back. And so we want you to follow us. This program is intended to bring peace and unity in Granular community. But peace and unity does not go without analysis of the issue. What are the problems? How did we arrive at what we arrive at? If we want peace, what kind of solution we can proffer, and how does the solution come about? Who begins the ball rolling? So all of these things we're going to be talking about them today. Yesterday I had 3 panelists, and Mr. Daniel Pine, Mr. Samson Toe, and Mr. Levi Khan. Levi Khan is going to be joining us shortly as part of our right. Thank you. Levi Khan, I don't see your picture, so we'll have you there. Okay, my man is here. Thank you very much. You are right there. You can keep your camera right there. You can just set it down, and that would be great. Thank you. Okay, he's still fixing his camera, but let me just go full screen. I'll bring them back. Okay, so if you want to join us, we want you to join us, because this discussion, especially we are doing this for Granular County, we want to focus on Granular County for now. I know the library politics, and a lot of people called me yesterday about Gibson. There are a lot of library issue. Why you don't want to discuss it? Well, we are talking about Granular right now. We want to solve our own problem, and then we can go to the larger community. So today we have Mr. Jonathan Gaychuway, former Secretary General of the Granular Association, and a very influential opinion leader in our community is going to be here today. General Gaychuway wants peace, but he is concerned that there will be some consequences, some action taken by certain individuals. And for him, he is using the prodigal son example, that if you are a prodigal son, you have to come back to your parents before you can even ask for forgiveness. And today he's going to be expounding on that. Levi Khan and Levi Madison don't think that way. They think that the problem that was created even by multiple people, including the bull. And so there should be no need for any further blame shifting and all of that. So, but we're going to listen to all of them. And so I will play one more music, and I will bring my man General Gaychuway and my other guest Levi Madison, and Levi Khan will be on here. Let me play one more song, and I'll be right back.
Unega above Arebo Chiso money fini go your money fini go your money fini go Gayechuway, Papa la mufanya, la rappe la mola mufanya, la Gayechuway, la mola mufanya, la rappe the Baba people come, will catch you, Baba people come, will catch you, nobody like you, like I do, nobody like you, like I do. Better days ahead, you enjoy. Better days ahead, you enjoy. I'm a prover, find a prover. Come a prover, from a prover. Come a prover, find a prover. From a prover. Your money finna go, your money finna go. Your money finna go, 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 your money finna go. Baba la mufanya, la Gayechuway, Baba la mufanya, la rappe la mola mufanya, la Gayechuway, la mola mufanya, la rappe the Baba people come, will catch you, Baba people come, see, will catch you. I love you, la fish, la water, sometimes like a pump or talk, then you in a alleyway. Don't be talking by your friend. Just pulling at you. You do your own no talking. I do my own talking. I'm gonna live with living, yeah, so I'm gonna live my people living, yeah, so your money finna go. 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 Your money finna go.
We are here again this time to discuss another facet of the Grand GGAA unification process. As you know, Mr. Daniel Pine brought the idea that this is the time for us to bring the Grand GGAA Association back together as a family. In fact, he is suggesting a national conference, and according to him, for there to be GGAD anymore. GGAD should be brought home and everybody be brought back to the table as family. But everybody don't have the same opinion. For Daniel Pine, everything should go bygone, be bygone, and then we should come together. But General Gayechuway has a different view. Even though he wants peace to come, but he has a different way of this peace to come. So let's go to Mr. General Gayechuway and let's hear from him. Mr. Gayechuway, welcome.
Thank you very much, Mr. Jero. Can you hear me?
You are very loud and clear, and thank you very much, Jonathan.
Okay.
When yesterday you were on, but you didn't go into detail. When you say you want peace, when you must talk, you say you want peace, but you want it done properly. That it should be like the prodigal something. What do you mean by the prodigal something?
Anyway, first of all, Mr. Jerry, thank you very much. Like I said yesterday, I'm happy to see you back. All this time, the Grand GGAA community. In fact, yesterday, when we left the show and people and myself were talking, they say, well, I mean, where was Gibson Jero? I said he had a contract with the CDC government in Liberia. I don't know whether that contract ended. but he's back. So he was a PRO for the CDC people. But anyway, I'm glad you are back. I also want to welcome my friend yesterday. I didn't say he was not my friend. I said we used to be good friends, but now we're not, but we're still friends. Mr. Levi Kind. I also want to welcome Levi. He disappeared from the radar for a while. I haven't seen him in a long time. Levi Madison, and he's back. So welcome, gentlemen. Glad to see all of you guys back, and I'm happy that that we're talking. And like I said yesterday, and I want for everybody here who is listening, I'm not against anything about peace. And first of all, I asked the question. I said, is there anything going on in the community? Because when I saw this thing going on, I was like, okay, I thought there was something new. Because as far as I was concerned, everything was calm. And there's been no. You yourself, the Gaychuway community in the past, couple of years. There was drama, there was rigmarole here and there, and all of that stuff. But I haven't heard anything of such lately. So when people say, "Oh, we want to come back, we want peace," I was like, okay. What is going on? Are we not together? And stuff like that. But then when I follow your show, I listen to Mr. Pine, I listen to Mr. Kind. I understood exactly what they were saying, because the main focus was we have GGAA, we have GGAD. So I think for them, the perspective from which they're coming is that because you have two organizations carrying the name GGAA Association, and within the GGAA community, that's what they are talking about. So it's not like we have issues. For me, I don't think there's any issue going on. Everyone is.
That doesn't bother you. That doesn't bother you that we have two organizations carrying the GGAA name?
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. Actually, it doesn't bother me at all. If anything, if GGAD was actually viable, I was going to say, hey, maybe probably it was going to be a good thing, for the people back home, because probably GGAA was
viable. What kind of viability are you looking at?
Yeah.
Before you can think?
Oh well, like with GGAA, if you look at GGAA is a viable organization. GGAA can raise substantial funds, and they can carry out, like you see right now. The GGAD Association under the leadership of Mr. James Yubote, they're trying to do some stuff in Liberia, trying to construct a monument for the late President Samuel Doe. The only thing that GGAD can really point to is the market, and the market thing, which is actually, if you look at it, it's a GGAD Association, because they started that when Fred Gwen was president of the GGAD Association. So I would say almost every fund that they have used for that particular project comes from the GGAD Association. So until I can see something new, until somebody can say, look, this is what GGAD has done that has nothing to do with GGAD Association, I really have not seen that. This is what I'm saying. If GGAD or if GGAD was a viable organization, maybe they are doing something I just don't know about it. So that's where I'm coming from when I use that word, that if GGAD was a viable organization. If it were, then of course you have a lot of good things happening in GGAD. GGAD Association will be carrying out their own projects, their own development. GGAD will be doing the same. So for me, I really don't see anything wrong with it. For people to say, oh, because you have two GGAD Association, and both of them are not claiming that they, we all know that GGAA is the one that represents the people of GGAD in the United States. GGAD is an organization by itself, which we all know. So I don't see any conflict. I don't see any conflict there as far as I'm concerned. So, but like I said yesterday, when I listened, from what I got from my brothers is that, look, GGAD wants to come back into the fold, and they want to get back into the greater GGAD community, vis-a-vis maybe probably want to be a part of the GGAD Association in the Americas, which is GGAA. So that is the issue, but I don't think that is a conflict. If GGAD members come on and say, look, certain things happened and we were angry, we decided to form our own organization. We want to come back to GGAA. How do we do this? How do we discuss this? To me, then there's something to discuss. But to continue to perpetuate, to say, oh, there is division, there is disunity, there is this, in order to achieve something, I don't think that's the way, to go. Because right now, Gibson, the community is, you yourself, I mean, when there is fire in Grand Gila community, I mean, nobody can lecture you. You are, I mean, you used to be front and center, 2013, 2014, and coming on. Right now, I mean, everything is calm. Say, I don't see any problem, within the community right now. So that's my perspective. So to go back to your question,
yeah.
if brothers, on the and this is what I said. There's a scripture here in the Bible that I want to share. It comes from the book of Luke 15, verse 11 to 32, and it's the scripture about the prodigal son. So I will just take you to verse 17. Yes, it say, and when he came to himself, he said, "How many higher servants of my father's have bread enough and to spare, and I perish with hunger? I will arise and go to my father, and will say unto him, Father, I have sinned against heaven and before thee, and I'm no more worthy to be called thy son. Make me as one of thy high servants." And he arose and came to his father. But when he was yet a great way off, his father saw him and had compassion, and ran and fell on his neck and kissed him. And the son said unto him, Father, I have sinned against heaven and in thy sight, and I'm no more worthy to be called thy son. But the father said to his servant, Bring forth the best robe and put it on him, and put a ring on his hand and shoes on his feet, and bring hither the fat calf and kill it, and let us eat and be merry. For this my son was dead and is alive again. He was lost and is found, and they began to be merry. Now, I'm not saying GGAD members should come and say, hey, we are no longer worthy to be this and that. No, they're still, our brothers and sisters. But what I'm just saying here is that if they want to come back into the fold, that's welcoming. That's something that, I personally would be happy about. But to the route that they are taking, when I listened to them yesterday, is the one that I disagree with. To say, oh, there's confusion in the community. How do we bring the community back together? I don't think that's the route to go, because everything looks calm, everything looks okay right now to me. The people of GGAA are not complaining about anything. If GGAD feel that everything is okay in there, they can continue. I mean, we got a lot of other organizations. We got Chien District, we got Bison District. All of these organizations are going about their normal activities. And, sectional organizations, social organizations, and stuff like that. I don't want us to open this debate again. Oh, there is confusion. We can focus our attention and energy on better things than talking about confusion every day. So that's the issue that I have with the path that they want to take.
Okay, let me go back. Thank you very much, Mr. Gaychuway. Let me go to Brother Levi Mccarvent Madison. Brother Madison, you heard the brother, and we're talking about the prodigal son a little bit, but when we talk about the two Grand association coming together, in fact, first of all, do you see an existing problem? And if yes, how this problem can be solved?
Well, thank you very much. I hope I'm audible.
You are audible enough. You are very much audible.
You see, as always, I am not surprised at the utterances of Senior Brother Jonathan Gaychuway, because for too long he has exemplified the symptoms of an ostrich that sees all of the problems in the world, but yet buries his head beneath the sand until he is picked up by prey. For any Grenadian, whether at home or elsewhere in the diaspora, to proceed that there is no problem in the Grenadians, in the Americas, and that all is fine and well, to say that will be at the height of gross insensitivity and lack of honesty, because the problems are visible from Minnesota to Philadelphia to places that are predominantly inhabited by Grenadians. We see it at our parties, We see it at funerals. We see it at various events where grandparents who were once harmonious in their interactions have now become so confrontational to the extent that deaths are now being desecrated. I don't want to go on to naming events, but I was at the program of a sister who passed away in Philadelphia. And because the GGAA saga was dragged at that funeral, it almost became a fist fight. Look across our union, look across our various states. Events when they are being held, you want to find one audience. So that if the program is held by a GGAD person, only GGAD people go there. No matter how closely knit those people once were. And the same can be said about GGAA. The problem is alive and well. It is to the extent that the GGAA now is almost like a dead horse. You and I know what GGAA means to us. You know the extent to which our programs were so crowded. We didn't even need to have to put flyers up. People will go there because they say that was a crime event. And one crime man was touched. The whole community was touched.
But what Jonathan is saying, let me put you a little bit so you can expound more.
Yeah.
If I describe him very well, he said the GGAA is like a grain of salt in a bucket of sand. That means they are not viable. They are not important right now to the point that where we have to bring them and we will have to create situation. How is GGA viable?
I beg to oppose. I was about to go to that point, but before going to the viability, but that is well a common knowledge. I'm not sure whether the term is being misused here, or whether our brother does not fully comprehend the basis of the basis of the term viability. A union that hosts regular events, a union that completed, that however you want to attribute the source of the finance to, that completed the most landmark event, the most landmark monument or infrastructure in Grand Chile. Can I be said to be lacking viability? The union that pays more than 180 students tuition, paid for more than 4,000 armchairs, had made significant impact and is still making impact in our country, even during the most recent COVID-19 crisis. GGAD made significant donations to people back home in Grand Chile. A union that hosts regular conventions.
Okay.
Tell your opinions. But when you're speaking, I think you're protected. I hope to be given similar, reference.
You are protected. Go ahead.
So I'm not sure what in his word the word viability means, but I hope that the litany of events that I just listed will silence that argument. Now, going to his claim of prodigal son, first and foremost, General Gayechuway should not claim to be a biblical literalist who will take up passages from the Bible without adequately analyzing them and going back to the text to interpret what happened in the text. In the story of the prodigal son, the boy. Let me provide the biblical concept here.
Let me put a voice on so I can read it for you to analyze it for us.
Yeah, please. No, I mean, for me, I don't have to see the voice. Because I'm very ocorum with the story.
Absolutely.
Okay. For the audience, you can go ahead and read it.
Thank you, Chief. It says 17 says, when he came to his senses, that is the prodigal son, he said, how many of my father's hired servants have food to spare, and here I am starving to death? If we are to take this verse literally and using Jonathan's description of not viable, GGAD seems to be starving. I will set out and go back to my father and say to him, Father, I have sinned against heaven and against you. Why don't GGAD follow that and say, look, Grand Association, we have sinned against you and we are coming back?
Okay. So if you listen to what I said, I said we should not take isolated scriptures from the Bible and attempt to interpret them as whole. Before that 17, what happened there? The boy, in his own wisdom or foolery, went to work and called his father and said, against tradition. The tradition was that you wait when your father is deceased, then you claim your inheritance. I hope you understand that point. So he went against tradition. So if you come to GGAA and what unfolded in the GGAA, we cannot say that that scripture holds water here. Because Fragwin was rightfully so aggrieved. His rights were trampled upon. He was ostracized, and he was unlawfully impeached by a poll that was very politically motivated. So to say that 17 holds water now because the boy hadn't realized that he wasted his inheritance that was not due him at the point in time that it was giving him a price in this situation, then that means you do not understand the process for which you are attempting to draw into the picture here. Because Fred Weir did not ask for no inheritance earlier. He did not leave at his own volition.
Okay.
I hope biblically that's it with the whole argument here. So his prodigal son analogy does not hold water here.
Okay.
So
additionally,
so Mr. Jaru.
Yeah, I don't want you to rest. I'll come back to you definitely.
Yeah. In addition to that point, the same Bible persists in the book of John, when David was a shepherd boy presiding over his father's sheep, and one sheep went astray. The Bible said that David left the 99 sheep in pursuit of that one sheep. Why? Because any one Gaychuway, to the extent that he's been ostracized, ill-treated, violated, the greater community of Gaychuway will realize, acknowledge, and sustain the same pain that he will undergo when he went astray. So he went and brought that sheep back to the fold. So the idea that is being advanced by Honorable Daniel Pine and you, for example, who I hope will be genuine in this effort, how they blew up the previous opportunity you had to bring peace and sanity to this community. I hope you are genuine in your effort and not just trying to gain relevance in or viewership. This effort is well intentioned. It will be the greatest effort of our life that will bring us back to the fold as people of tradition and ceremony. To bring us back together, however booming GGAA may be, or however dumb GGAD may be. That's not the question here. The question here is, for how long can brothers and sisters continue to survive at either side of the aisle, at loggerheads? And if you ask me, I say not one more day. Thank you very much.
Okay, I will bring on Malin. I'm going to bring on Levi kind of later. Levi, I want you to just listen a little bit. I won't go back to Janitor. And Janitor, I will quote a scripture to you, and I want you to juxtapose it to the scripture you provided, and let's see where we stand on this. But before I do the scripture, you wanted to say something, go ahead and say it.
Yeah, so anyway, go ahead. I mean, let's deal with your scripture. Maybe probably
the man has no rebuttal. He has no rebuttal.
Okay, let me share.
The man has no rebuttal.
I was coming to rebuttal.
You have no rebuttal.
I was coming to rebuttal.
You have no rebuttal.
It's okay. Yeah, it's the scripture.
But Mr. Jerry said he had a scripture. So what I'm saying is that probably in dealing with Mr. Okay, all right.
Prior to his statement, you tried to make an intervention, and I hope the floor is yours.
The scripture is on the screen.
Okay, all right. Okay, so Mr. Jerry, I got the scripture. Yeah. It was the one that Mr. Levi Madison, and it was the one that Mr. Levi Madison quoted. Okay, now let me go back to Levi's scripture. Let
me read the scripture. The parable of the lost sheep. Let me read the scripture. The parable of the lost sheep.
Yes. Okay, go ahead, Mr. Jerry.
Then Jesus told them this parable. Suppose one of you has 100 sheep and loses one of them. Doesn't he leave the 99 in the open country and go after the lost sheep until he finds it? Now, my question to you, if we are to find unity, GGAA as a mother organization, don't you think they should go and say, let's go find our brothers, let's bring them back. They are lost, we want to bring them back. Is it not possible?
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. Jeru and my brother there for that scripture. So here is the thing, though. If you look at the scripture, I mean, both of you read it. I myself, I read it. I'm sure our audience, they have looked at the scripture. So, like what both of you are saying is, if one sheep goes astray, if he gets lost from the rest of the sheep, from the rest of the sheep, what does the shepherd do? The shepherd will wait. He will say, "Oh, my sheep is missing," and he will go and search for that sheep. And that's exactly what I have been saying all along. If you listen to what I said yesterday, Mr. Jerry, what did I say? I say anything that we would do, let us do it through the Grand GGAA Association. And I told you that, look, some of us, we have been having this discussion. Okay, look, my people, some of our brothers and sisters are out there. What do we do? Because the thing is, Mr. Gibson, Jeru, and Levi, and everybody here, there are a lot of issues, and that lead to that will lead us to an open path or to find a solution, to issues that we have in the community. Now, Grand GGAA Association is the mother organization. Like I said yesterday, people can dispute it all they want, and that's the biggest Grand GGAA organization in America. Now, assuming that GGAD, our brothers and sisters, and they have issues and then they left. Okay, how do we bring them back to the fold? It has to be done through the Grand GGAA Association. Because all of the things that we're talking, like Daniel Pine was laying out yesterday, we need to have a national convention, a national conference, and I asked him, who's going to call that national conference? If you go to that national conference and come out with resolution, who's going to implement those resolutions? You understand what I'm saying? Are you going to take those resolutions and give them to Grand GGAA Association to implement, or are you going to take those resolutions and give them to GGAD? Why if the Grand GGAA or whoever is in leadership of the Grand GGAA Association at that time say, hey, you know what, we want to have nothing with whatever you are doing? Are you then going to form a third organization to say, okay, this organization is not GGAA, it's not GGAD, it's another organization? How do you implement whatever you're going to get from this conference that you are going to call? First of all, who's going to even call the conference? Because if certain people in the community, they hear say, oh, this conference was called by Daniel Pine, they're not even going to go there. If they say it was called by General Gaychuway, they won't go. But what I'm just saying here is that we have an organization already, which is the Grand GGAA Association. So, like, truthfully, like Madison said, that means that GGAA now is the shepherd or is the father. What happened? And if one of the children got angry and the children left, how do you know that the father or the parents are not working out modalities, are not putting things together to see how they can reach out to the lost, to the lost child, or the shepherd is out there trying to find way to find the lost sheep? It shouldn't be the sheep that got missing, or it shouldn't be the child who left the house and went out there, who should gallivant and try to call people to say, you know what, you come, and my parent did this sort of thing to me, and I want to go back home, but we need to talk about when that's the scenario that we are having here right now. And that's what I told Mr. Pine yesterday. These are good ideas. Why don't you take this idea to the leadership of the Grand GGAA Association?
But
let GGAA be the one to be. No. So to come up to what he was saying about being agreed, according to him, he said that the scripture that I gave about the prodigal son, and it doesn't match because in this case something was done and this and that and whatsoever. And this is what we are saying. If you, Gibson, Jerry over there, including I myself here, we all grew up with our parents. And a lot of things that they did, and to us, like in fact, when I was growing up, my father was a strict disciplinarian, and he never used to give us an inch to make a mistake. He put you right there on the spot, whether that whipping or whatsoever, and this. Other people, their parents tried to correct them and put them on the right path, and they left their home. Some people stay with their parents' discipline, and some of us today, we are happy that our parents discipline us because it did a lot of good things for us. It makes us into the people that we are. So just because you have an issue, be it in GGAA, be it in your home and whatsoever, the solution, it's not usually to just run off. So that's the problem here. That's a separate issue. Now, the solution is not to run away from the organization or to say, you know what, and I don't want to be part of this. And that's
he did not run as well. He was driven. He was scorned and mocked And even yourself was one of the arch bearers of some of the scones that were delivered at his doorstep. So we cannot get we must be honest. In our quest, to resolving this issue, I do not
here is that no, not here.
You can hear me?
We're not talking about individuals. I mean, we're not here to finger point. If you want to point finger at people, Levi Madison, there's a lot of fingers that will be pointing to you.
Okay, Mr. Gayechuway,
exactly. So I don't want to even go that. The time will come for that particular one when it comes to pointing finger at people to say
you did this, Mr. Gaychuway?
That and whatsoever.
Mr. Gayechuway, I got a question for you.
Excuse me?
I said I got a question. I want to ask you to get clarity. You use the analogy of a child who refused to take discipline from the father and run off. Are you equating what GGAAD did, that they ran off from discipline and so they are at fault? Is that it? Or what are you trying to say?
Well, what I'm just trying to say here is, I was responding to to Levi Madison. He was saying that something was done, and to that aggrieve the GGAD people when they went and formed their organization. Okay, according to him. So the question here is now, okay, so what happened? Because if you look at everything that's going on here at Gibson Jeru, only GGAD people have been talking about, oh, there is problem in the community. Remember, before we could go to Minnesota, we went through the same thing, and the GGAD folks.
What do you say? What do you
everything
say?
they can do.
What do you say?
They try to do everything.
Is there a problem in the community in your word?
Hey, Mr. Madison, you said when you were talking to us now, you said I shouldn't interrupt you. So I said, okay.
Sorry, go ahead.
So if you want to give me the clarity,
okay. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Thank you.
Saying that he don't see any problem at all. There's no problem for as far as they regards GGAD. That his argument. And if the GGAD decide and thinks that there is a problem, they the one ran off from discipline. They should come back and say, "Hey, forgive me, we have come back." That's his argument.
So let me respond to that. Yeah, I disagree with that fairly and squarely. For him to say that this move to rekindle the broken pieces that are obviously visible in our midst is a drive solely and fairly, initiated by people from GGAD. While he may be wrong, but it presents GGAD people as people who are seen and people who understand the importance of unity. Even though I will want to clarify that GGAD people are okay within their union because they are doing well. There's no anarchy, there's no quarrels, they are at peace in the union. But being Grenadians, knowing the bound of love that once existed between us, the harmony that once characterized our interactions, if they come out to make this request, I do not think it's something bad. And in order for all of us to see good in it, we must disregard the various structures, whether GGAA is the bigger one or GGAD is the smaller one. In this issue, size doesn't matter. What is more important here is bringing about harmony amongst Grenadians in the diaspora. If General does not see any value in that, they don't know what kind of crime man he is.
Okay, let me go to Levi Khan. Let me go to Levi Khan. Levi Khan, you are here as a counterbalance because you're one of those who participated in the trying to put this whole thing together. Tell me what you make of what is going on right now. Levi, we hear you now.
I got a phone call and my thing went low. Let me see real quick. Yeah, let me just fix something. I'll pull my camera off and get back.
We can hear you. We can hear you.
Yeah, we're getting you clearly.
We're getting you clearly.
Okay. So, thank you, Mr. Jeru. Me being here today, I made it very clear last night. When the whole thing started, it wasn't Daniel Pine calling me or maybe coming to a GGAD meeting, and then GGAD people proposed to him that they want peace. It wasn't the case. And let's just be clear, Daniel Pine is not a member, it's not a registered member of GGAD. We have 316 people. Daniel Pine's name is not mentioned in our list. He's not a registered member of our organization. if Daniel Pine is a title person in our community, I will consider him as a former board chairman of GGAA. Okay, and I just want to make that clear because we have our listing. He doesn't participate in our events. For us, our financial is very important. I checked, in the last 3 years, Daniel Pine is not a member. Let me just make that clear.
Okay.
And it doesn't mean he's not affiliating with Grand Gideons, but he's not a member, as will be Levi Madison and people like that. I saw this thing between Mr. Jeru, who is not a member of GGAD as well, and also Mr. Samson too, who is also not a member of GGAD, who actually started something like this and wanted to talk. And I saw it and approached them to be a part of it because I personally wanted to talk about what is going on in our community, not in the representation of GGAD at all. Because the last time I checked over the last 3 years, GGAD never asked me to go and settle peace for anybody. And I don't want to bring this to sound like I'm trying to counteract Mr. Gayechuway on GGAD and GGAA. I don't want to represent that. What I want to represent is this, what we are doing and I've become part of in the last few days is the collation of the waiting. People who really want to see this community move to the next level. People who want to see this community get that same viability like before, where our friends used to say, wow. And you and I know right now it's not that case. Maybe a lot of you don't go places and people don't question you. But for example, I go places and want to talk and people say, oh shut up, man, you cry, man, you're not even here to put your own organization together. You want to talk about other organization here. That's a big thing for me. I think about it. Even though if we have only 2 people on the other side who other people think they are not viable, I don't see it that way. I see it that people who used to respect us no longer respecting us now because it's the thing that we are divided. That's one. 2, let's speak about viability and financing this. Again, unfortunately, I just got to clarify, being an executive of GGAD, I'm on here, and I don't want something that sells, giving out a lot of audience. So if you don't clarify things, people take it to be the way they were said. The market building that was built by GGAD cost $47,000 US, $47,000 in total. After we did that thing for over 4 years, it cost us $47,000. In the days of GGAA, we built half of the foundation. When Confucius started, half of the foundation, which cost less than $10,000. And everybody saw that in the report. And it was very clear that the board said that money was rejected. It was not authorized. And people know what happened. The difference between $47,000 and $10,000 is $37,000. That's what GGAD spent on the market building. So it's something for anybody who sit here to think about, that organization that is not viable spend $37,000 US on something.
Imagine that.
And I only clarifying on that because I say again, we got audience. GGAD spent over $5,000 in COVID relief fund. Over the last 2 years, GGAD, whether taking care of their membership or helping people like this, I just did a report last night, got over $23,600. That's not a small organization. We take care of people every single day. The death benefit that was started in GGAA that never continued, that brought confusion, is credible in our area. Every single person who has problem in GGAD, we take care of you. And it's very serious. That's why we started with 175 people. Now we're above 300 people. People joining GGAD because of the relationship that's within our organization. And I'm not selling anything about GGAD is better than GGAA or this and that. It's not what I'm selling. I'm selling the fact that sometimes we say things and we don't know what we're trying to reference the other side. Okay. I just want to make it clear, GGAD are not come to anybody to ask for peace. The last time I checked, Ubote actually called me. When he became president, he wanted to bring peace in the community. He actually set up a peace council that was headed by Mr. The president for the Library Association before, Honorable Breeze. It was headed by him. And because they were giving a very short terms of reference, they were unable to complete that process. And it didn't work. It failed. I would say that. Because I was involved. They called me, we're taking part in that. And it failed. It's not GGAD fault. It wasn't GGAA fault. It's just like the time of reference was very short. And they were unable to do that. So Djibouti had tried. They're giving his credit. It's just like it did not reap the kind of expectation that he wanted. So typical Grand Gideon coming together as a coalition to say, you know what, let us talk about what's going on in our community. It's not a wrong thing to do, Mr. Gayechuway. This is the beginning. Maybe as we go through, he can put GGA on here and put GGAD and say, hey, let's do the GGA. You bring one, you bring two here, and you bring other person here. If you think about it, the breakaway of GGAD might not only be the problem that escalated into this organization malfunctioning. And I can reference other things. On the live video that I have from you, Mr. Gayechuway, you said the election system, what people use money and transport people all around, you would never vote again in Grand Association. You said it. And I reason with you, I agree. We shouldn't make it so political and so complicated as such, to make it such a thing that would be difficult to do. And you said it. It does not mean you ran away from Grand Association elections. I can't interpret it like that. You want something to be fixed within the electoral system. You never ran. But if we follow your category of things, I mean you ran from the election, saying that you would never vote again. But I don't see it that way. GGAD people had their own reason for leaving. We all know it. Whether they were wrong, whether somebody was right, whether they were trying to punish them, whether they were doing things that were whatever. For us, I think it's been 4 years and we never reaped anything going that route.
So let me ask this question. If no intervention happens, GGAD.
So Jerry, is there any way? I'm not ready. I'm not hearing you guys loud. Is there any way you can help me?
You're not hearing me? You hearing me now?
Let me go and come back.
Okay, no problem.
We can hear. Okay, Mr. Jeru. Mr. Jeru. Quickly, just few points on some of the things that Levi said. Levi made mention about the peace deal or the peace effort initiated by Mr. James Djibouti. That peace effort collapsed not because the group that was tasked with the responsibility. That group was headed by Mr. Gayechuway, who was once EULA president, and a lot of other people. And I closely followed that entire effort because they used to come to the Grand GGAD Association meeting to brief us, the members, as to what was happening. One of the main reasons for which that peace effort broke down is because GGAD was demanding that in order for them to take part in whatsoever, they have to be recognized as equals to GGAA. That's crystal clear. Nobody can deny it. I mean, I followed that effort the whole time. In fact, during the last report that Mr. Gayechuway and other people and Mr. Gayechuway and his people gave, everything was and GGAD said it should be addressed this way. GGAD said, and what will be their position in this? GGAD said. So it was not because the committee was not giving enough time, Mr. Levi Khan. It was because of the position that GGAD took. And this and that's the issue that we are having here.
Did you, as a president, does that committee?
If people about peace, excuse me.
Did you, as a president?
I was on the meeting every single time, and you were not there.
Just because I believe it was some of the views that were start of people like you that drew the lifeblood out of that committee and thereby rendered them short-sighted. The evidence is there. Even as evidence by some of the things you are saying today. And I don't understand why would you be anathema to peace.
Let us be clear about that particular aspect. And when Mr. Khan said that the effort did not succeed because of time and other things, that's not true. The effort did not succeed because of the demand that GGAD was putting forward. And that's one of the reasons, that's one of the things that we have found.
Those are genuine concerns.
Let me. It wasn't the reason why, Mr. Gayechuway. Anybody who told you it was a lie. Anybody who told you that, that's not true.
Mr. Madison.
Yes, sir.
What are the genuine concerns you're talking about?
The genuine concern arises from the fact that you have a group that was created out of the dispute that happened in the GGAA. In order for you to arrive at any meaningful resolution to that dispute, you have to recognize that body as an established entity worthy of recognition, respect, and to be heard. You could not isolate them
Levi,
and think you will have a peace.
I was lying. Are you hearing it?
No,
I
that's my view.
was in the meeting. Not
That's
you
my
were
view.
there. Let me
Let
clarify.
Levi a chance. Let Levi a chance. Go ahead, Levi.
Mr. Gayechuway, there will be no reason that I come on here last.
There are two Levi here, so
they're coming by sea. That's all. They're coming by sea.
Okay.
Okay, who? Mr. Gayechuway, who you allowing to talk about? Mccarvent?
Let Basi talk.
Okay. So what I've said is that, in my view, at least knowing from common resolution, is that when two persons or two groups are agreed or have a dispute, in order to resolve that dispute, the two groups must be seen as equals, to come on the table to spew out whatever their grievances were, so as to have them resolved. You cannot come to a peace resolution table and recognize one as superior and the other as inferior or subordinate. That is not the way peace is arrived at. So if GGAD made that recommendation to be recognized in the peace process, I think it was a genuine concern to have been advanced.
So let me add, I just want to get it clear. When United States government and the Taliban went to discuss, they say in the understanding that the Taliban are equal to the U.S. How do you just oppose that?
When the Taliban, when the Afghan government,
I want to get clarification.
When the Afghan government, however small or logically inferior, is called by the UN against the United States government, they are called there as equals to understand what is the issue that underlies the controversy. We're now mindful that the US is the worst power, but if they are having a dispute, it's between two countries, and as such, in the mind of the UN General Assembly, there are two countries and they are equal because they are two sovereign states.
I'm not talking about the Afghanistan government. Recently in Dubai,
Mr. Gayechuway, I think
I'll come to you, Levi. I'm trying to trace the logic here about how we can grandstand, because the grandstanding is what makes peace to be difficult to come. So if we understand this thing, we'll be able to know. I'm not even arguing that GGAD is not an institution. I'll be amazed to say that, who to say that. But not always that two institutions can be equal. Like the Taliban, when they had a discussion with the U.S. government and the Afghanistan government in Dubai, Taliban was not equated to a U.S. government. Taliban was considered a terrorist government, but they were still allowed to negotiate. So sometimes it's not always that the two institutions will have to be of equal footing to be able to discuss. That's what I'm trying to trace.
First and foremost, Mr. Jeru, I hope by your reference to Taliban, you are not insinuating that the GGAD is a hostile or terrorist group.
Not at all.
Because if that's the case, then we'll have
I would never do that.
But in that scenario,
yesterday I made my position clear. GGAD is
so you see, Mr. Jeru, this is I mean, and I'm thankful to Mr. Levi Madison because he came here and alluded to the fact, because when I was trying to point out the
when I was
trying to point out.
Hold on, guys. Yesterday I made it clear. GGAD is a nonprofit registered under the U.S. IRS 501c3 status.
Yeah.
So they are institutions. But Mr. Gay, you're not seeing it that way, because the story of
I'm seeing Mr. Jeru, GGAD is an institution. I'm not disputing that fact.
So,
GGAD
like I was saying, in a case where
the same way,
Mr. Jeru, you clarify. You want me to clarify the issue about that piece? Mr. Gayechuway wasn't in the room Mr. Gayechuway got told. That's interpretation. I was in the room.
Just hold on, I'll come to you. Mr. Gaychuway, when you use the story of the prodigal son, then they are not equal. Because the prodigal son is a son.
No.
And the father.
I agree. And that's what I'm saying. I'm not disputing the fact that GGAD is an organization. I'm not disputing that fact. Okay. What I'm disputing is like what Madison was saying.
I'm not hearing him.
Is that GGAA and GGAD is like telling somebody that Liberia and America, they are equal because they are all part of it. You know that's not true.
They are. Yes, they are equal.
Okay, let me go to Levi. Levi, you said you were in a room. What happened in the room? Did Mr. Gaychuway wrong?
Okay. And unfortunately, unfortunately, I'm in between the panelists who are debating GGAA and GGAD. Yeah. My role here, I'm not really debating those two. My thing is I want us to really talk about what can bring us together. But being in the room in that meeting, I know they went to, according to Mr. Gaychuway, they went to a meeting. Probably he was being sucked on the phone and listening through something like that, or maybe some when the meeting are doing. This is the problem. We never GGAA. Okay.
General
in our committee,
general GGAA meeting.
Okay, good. We were actually served equally. When it came, they asked us to be representation from GGAD. If they never recognized, so they only have asked representation from GGAD. And we brought representation. We brought 5 people from GGAD. So for me, we were equally served. What happened was Djibouti, and this is where it went. This is where it did not complete. Djibouti had a inauguration schedule. And after that time, he wanted a peace ball to happen, even without even negotiating the peace. He wanted a peace ball to happen in December. We started talking in October. He wanted this issue to be resolved within those 2 months, and then by December, we all would jump together and become one organization. Which a time frame? That's how much time they give them. The problem that came us was it's not about a group of people just leaving GGAA and just moving on. There were things that happened. We want those issues to be brought on the table and discussed. For example, we talk about discussing the board, discussing the constitution, doing that. How are we going to do it? People in our ministry, they never had time for that. They only worry about GAD people say agreeing, they're coming back to GGAD.
Let me just catch you there. Let me catch you there. How will it be possible to alter the constitution when you are not still in? So you want
this is the point.
Thank you.
That's what we call this is called a discussion, and sometimes you come to what we call the MOU, the how you call it? Yeah. You list things that will bring the organization together. You give me a chance. Let me finish, Mr. Sir.
Yeah, let me finish, please.
Put down things that will bring peace that you go and agree on. Upon the agreement, you can't implement why you don't even agree on those things. If you agree on those things, that's a problem, and that's what you want to fix.
So now, for instance, the Constitution, the board where they issued that you couldn't compromise that, look, we cannot be able to come back to GGA unless these things are fixed. Are these something that you stood by?
These things we were asking us to put it on the table. To say what would be some of those things I want to look at. So we say we want us to agree that we'll fix the board. We want us to agree that we'll fix the Constitution and several other things we listed.
Yeah,
the last meeting I attended. Let me just tell you, Mr. Jero. The last meeting I attended, it was in October, and they said we're going to have another meeting, and they never came back to the meeting. That was it. We asking, let's discuss the issue. So and because when we got the report, they said because they ran out of time. The term of reference was over in December. They couldn't pass that, so they had to make a report. So you can say it's because we're demanding that why they didn't finish the meeting. It's because they said their time was over. That's the report they make to us.
Let me tell you what they told us in the general meeting, and
that's what they told to y'all in your meeting.
The committee, okay. Let me tell you what the committee given Jero. This is what the committee said in the general meeting. And
Mr. Jero, do you have any copy of the meeting?
No, I don't have it.
Okay, we're not public. We're within the organization. I want to report it to them.
So this is what
I don't want to go that far.
I'm looking at here.
They said in the
you'll come back there for you. I go to Madison. What I'm looking at here, Levi, what you discuss in the meeting as a way forward to peace. If Mr. Gayechuway committee makes a report in the Grand General Committee, in the Grand General meeting that was erroneous, then we have a problem. So Gayechuway is not a problem. Gayechuway is
no, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that.
He only gave you
Gayechuway is probably a problem,
right?
I'm not saying that.
Yeah, I know you didn't say that. He just gave you the information.
Mr. Jeru, this is what Mr. Gayechuway reported in the meeting. He said GGAA demanded that first of all the committee set up by Mr. James Yubote to spearhead this peace process. That committee should be disbanded according to the report now, and that committee should be
Hold on. Go ahead.
He said that committee should be reconstituted to include people appointed by James Yubote and people appointed by the GGAD people. So in other words, the GGAD, according to the report by Mr. Gayechuway, GGAD was demanding that, look, GGAD will not just be a group, or will not just be an entity to go in front of that committee. GGAD should be part of that committee. So that was one of the demands.
Okay, Mr. Madison, you are in the meeting.
That was and that infuriated a lot of people in the meeting that day. I was in the meeting. A lot of the people attending the meeting that they got angry, and so they are saying that anything that would be
discussed, they bring your association meeting. You don't let the GAD meeting. What do you think they would do?
Whatever agenda, I'm coming and Levi, when you were speaking here, we all listened. Whatever agenda, according to Mr. Gayechuway report, GGAD was demanding that when the committee is disbanded and is reconstituted to comprise equal number of GGAA and GGAD people, then it is that committee now that will sit down and decide the agenda, whatever they want to do, how the discussion will go, and all of that stuff.
That's not true.
And so it was there in that meeting.
Who was going to
Jerry, you have to allow people time so that we can at least comment on it.
So it was there. When that report was made, that was it. Most of the people in the meeting that they say, but then we don't think these guys, if they are even serious. And that had that wording, and just like what Levi can alluded to. That's how that wording went down.
Madison, go ahead.
Yeah. You see, Mr. Jerry, first and foremost, in order for there to be any meaningful peace, all of the stakeholders, all of the factors that led to the controversy have to be analyzed, looked into, and remedies arrived at. So for you to have set that timeline, hoping to have seen the whole peace as a cosmetic exercise meant to boost its political capital, I think it was not fair to the process. Besides the issue of the GGAD, there were other issues that aligned the controversy. For example, the Menye issue. In the election that brought you to the power, Menye was not allowed to present all the elections or that convention as a president for reasons best known to you and I. So the GGAD issue is not the only issue that was on the agenda. Menye and his group were also a factor, a party in that peace resolution. So General should not act as if GGAD were the only people there making demands or the only persons who were aggrieved. Yeah, I can show you. If you resolve the GGAD issue, let me on the floor. If you resolve the GGAA saga without also or correspondingly resolving the many grievances and dispute, we go nowhere. So if they claim to ask for a more holistic view of the whole issues by bringing on both parties from each of the various groups, groups, I think it was a reasonable thing to say. But the thing here that precludes you from seeing it is because in your word, the GGAA is this giant monster and everybody else is in it. You don't arrive at peace with that kind of mindset.
Okay, let me get our listeners and our viewers in perspective here. Mr. Gayechuway made certain comments, and you yourself alluded to certain things. So the issue we have here, I got 4 issues that became a part of the discussion. the Menye situation, the GGAA must be part of the committee. Constitution must be
GGAD.
GGAD must be part of the constitution.
Yeah.
That's why Mr. That's why he interpreted. Okay.
I'm quoting him. The constitution must be rewritten. The board must be reconstituted and redesigned. Are those 4 issues correct? Are these the problem that GGAD concerned about? Mr. Levi,
Gary, let me clarify something. Yeah. I didn't say GGAD went to that meeting and asked them to rewrite the constitution. I think it's not what I'm saying. Okay. What I'm saying, we raise issue. They when they talk about time frame, they say, oh, by December 15, we need to be done with this.
Yes.
So we said we can't. We need to talk about relevant things that brought this confusion. We're not just about fragment. We sorry what happened. Come back here and let's move on. It's not what GGAD is saying. Let her agree that we'll talk about the constitution. Let her agree that we'll talk about the board, that the board will be looked at, will form a committee that will work on the board situation. Let us agree on the type of thing. So, 2, 4, 5 meetings may not resolve it.
Did that committee have the mandate to agree to that?
That's the thing we put on the board. Whoever they are going to report to, to give them the order to agree or disagree. Then they should ensure us say we will go ahead and make this report and see what follow-up situation we'll come up with. And we have 4 meetings. Mr. Gayechuway just mentioned that we went to 1 meeting and we disagree and we just scattered. That's not true. A lot of things will resolve. We have 4 meetings.
Okay, so
we said we want people to be eligible, otherwise we're not.
What the committee reported to us, that's what I'm just saying. I don't know I'm just saying what they told us.
And Mr. Jeru, I want you to take the point. I want to take the point. The point I want you to recall is Mr. Gayechuway's point is that this peace process should be done under the supervision of Grand Jury Association. We actually, for me, I don't even have a problem who's waiting to bring peace in the community. I don't have one single problem with that.
Okay.
But he did not mention that GGAD had tried and it did not work. So what other things we can do?
Other stakeholders, yeah. Okay, so
and that's the evidence of what we just said.
I mean, it did not work. It did not work because of. I mean,
this is why you believe, Mr. Gayechuway. That's interpretation. That's what you believe in English. Something you tell somebody interpret why you believe that's interpretation.
Mr. Jeru, let's get the facts here. Levi, I'm not talking about Levi Khan, Levi Madison talk about Augustine Menye were part of it. That particular committee met with Augustine Menye. According to the report now, I wasn't part of the committee. When the committee reported to the Grand Jury Association, they said Mr. Augustine Menye said he was okay. He was on board with the Grand Jury Association. He was willing to work with the new administration and everything. So have you heard any complaint from Mr. Augustine Menye in the community? No. So Levi there shouldn't try to drag other things. Oh, there were other issues.
Have you heard? Besides us coming here and say we want peace generally, have you heard complaint from GGAD, Mr. Gayechuway?
Mr. Gayechuway, 1 minute.
Does that mean Menye is happy?
The committee met.
Have you heard complaint from GGAD?
Hold on, guys.
Who am I talking about here now?
People are listening. They want to really learn the issue we are discussing here.
No, I'm not complaining. You never heard GGAD complaining about peace in the community, and that's what we're doing. I always reference. I'm here personally.
So because Menye is not quote unquote crying, it means that his issues are not genuine or not genuine.
Hold on, guys.
You are vice president for GGAD. Both of you are all GGAD members. Daniel Pine, even though Daniel Pine on your roster, we all know.
So right now you represent the U.S. Army. You represent the U.S. Army right now.
No, please hold on, guys. What we're doing, they will now understand.
Are you representing the U.S. Army? Anything you say?
Excuse me, guys.
Is it U.S. Army?
I'm asking you.
Gentlemen, there are major
okay, Mr. Jeru, go ahead.
I will need to look out rather than trying to bigger. Because bigger will not carry anywhere.
I know, right?
Exactly.
Come to one understanding. The GGAD, Mr. Gayechuway are quoting from a report from the Gay Select Committee.
Yeah.
It's not a writing. So he's not owner of the report, but he's only quoting them. And Madison made mention of other issues. So let the Grand Jury know, because those are committees that you people express your feelings to. Let the people know today what are the major issues that GGAD wants to be settled before they can join or they can relinquish their organization and join the GGAD or dissolve the organization and join the GGAD. In fact, is that possible? Is GGAD in a position to dissolve that organization and join GGAA? Is that anything possible at all? Levi Madison.
Yeah, Mr. Jeru, thank you for that question. That's a very great question. I think it helps to bring more clarity to the discourse and help us to know how to arrive at what we want to get. And this is peace. For me, in my mind, and in the mind of Fred Gaychuway, who is the principal, it was on account of his ill treatment, the violation of rights that brought about the GGAD that we're now grappling with today. In my mind, Fred Gaychuway has overcome whatever may have happened to him. And at this point in time, apology or no apology is insignificant at this point in time. What is on the front burner at this point in time is the unity of Grenadians in the diaspora. For us to once more dwell in harmony and live like siblings that we are. So whether or not GGAD is rendered an apology or treated anyhow, I think peace in my mind is the most important thing right now. But more than that,
we can't get to peace unless we understand.
Yeah, but more than that, more than that,
it has to be dissolved.
Yeah, but more than that, what Fred Gaychuway is not totally receiving an apology in order for us now to form a more vibrant GGAA. The issues that agonized him, or the issue that led to the controversy, we are asking for us to redress those issues, which is A, the precise information of the poor, B, our constitution, C, the way we carry out elections, D, the way Grenadians become polarized and go take to Facebook and other social media platforms to demonize and disgrace other Grenadians to be addressed. Because if they're not addressed, if for example come back and say, oh, I'll come back tomorrow and Fred Gaychuway and other GGAD dissolve, it will come back, those things will happen again. That is the point from which
meeting at GGAD meeting.
Yeah.
Do you ever discuss that if one day we decide to rejoin the Grand Association, we are willing to dissolve GGAD? Is that anything that is acceptable to GGAD?
That is not a factor, because the last time GGAD had a convention in Missouri, the guest speaker who spoke at that program, my uncle, and the made a speech that was so moving, and great elements in the Grenadian community, the Grenadian community, received that speech and hailed him for coming up with such an idea. Because at the end of the day, Mr. Jeru, it's not what happens here, it's what happens in Grenada. So to answer you directly, yes, and even today, GGAD is willing to come out to the fore if and only if the issues that led to the are addressed, and that there will be no more any more Grenadian, whether to friend with some divergence happened to me. The election that brought you to the was presented by a vote. Never in our union history have we seen that. For a vote to continue to host a preside, over convention. So many is himself agreed. So those are issues that have to be addressed as well.
Okay, Levi Khan, I want to ask you this, and I want you to be as much clear as possible. Because we find a solution, we can't leave something beyond the house and say we find a solution. If the Grenadian were to ask Levi Khan today and say, name me 2 things that have to be done before GGAD can join the GGAA again, what would the 2 things be? Or what would the 3 things be?
Okay, thank you, Mr. Jeru. If I come here today and list 3 things, it will be something that I manufacture myself. It will be something that I feel.
From your perspective, you're not speaking for GGAD.
Let me just be clear. It will be something that I feel, because I've never gone back to a GGA meeting, what I call peace meeting, and say, hey, gentlemen, we want to go back to Grand Association. Who get this, who get that? And people suggesting, and we all agree on one thing and say, this is what we want in order to go. We have never had any meeting about joining Grand Association.
Okay.
What we're doing here, some of us who feel we have the need to do that, this is why we are here. So personally, what I feel, I problem, and we all here probably may agree. Even Mr. Gayechuway on here said the election system was rigged. He's on here. I feel we need to take off politics or minimize politics from the organization. It should be a non-for-profit. Some also work at non-for-profit people. We know what it is to be a non-for-profit organization. Running election for 6 months, going all over the country, creating political campaign. We thought it just create so much hatred in the community. It shouldn't be like that. That's one. 2, the bowl is too big. There's no bowl ever on earth that is that big for a bowl reason. And the bowl, and we all can agree, the bowl position is not defined. They don't know where they do. Unfortunately, I'm not being disrespectful to the bowl people, but it's not clear as to what you're going on the bowl for. What is your role? And whether you were qualified to meet those roles. For example, you make somebody on the finance committee, they may know nothing about financing. Can we resolve those things? Can we look it up and see what if Jennifer gives you a
preconditions, or are these things that can be done even if GGAD, resolve to jump the GGAD?
My opinion, this is now what has to be done first before before I leave, I can come back. And that's what I'm saying. But this is what we agreed to do for me, because what I'm afraid of, if you go back to the same old, and before you look 2-3 things, it happened to another person, we'll go back to the same story. That's my fear. So when we agreed to fix the bowl, we agreed to work on the constitution to reflect what we're fixing on the bowl, to be modern. We agreed to look at our election system and make it less political. That's my yes.
Djibouti promise anything?
You would promise what?
Has he promised anything to the GGAA, the GGAD?
We never had a meeting with Djibouti. I know when Djibouti was vying for election, I personally was supporting him and I ran his campaign. And he and I had personal talks. So that was not in representation of GGAD. He was telling me his platform, what he wanted to do. He wanted to bring peace and do this. So that was his platform. It wasn't anything that had to do with convincing GGAD. So I like what he was bringing to the floor, and I supported him, in his effort.
Mr. Gayechuway, do you think the GGAD brothers are making a lot of demands?
Well, here is the problem, Mr. Jerry, and I want my 2 brothers here to to listen. The issue that I've been having with this GGAD and with my GGAD brothers all along is that they try to mix 2 things that are not the same.
Help us understand.
If GGAD folks come up and say, "Look, we the GGAD people, we are agreed, we have issue, and we want our Nigerian brothers to address this issue," I think most of us will be prepared to say, "Okay, what is the issue?" But if they continue to say, "Look, what I'm just saying here," then we know that GGAD has issue, and we are prepared to sit down to listen to them. But if they continue to say, "Look," if they continue to pretend like what I'm seeing now, like Daniel Pine and other people, there is issue in the community, our community is divided in one piece. When the main issue that they want to discuss is about GGAD, that's where some of us, we have problems. Now, if you say you want to fix the community, just like some of the issue, some of the issue that Levi can just raise, talking about the bowl, talking about the constitution, talking about how things are done. If these are things that we want to address, they should be void of GGAD, GGAD, this and that, and whatsoever. We are talking about Grand Jury Association. If, like Levi said, look, before I can come back to the Grand Jury Association, certain things need to be fixed. And believe me, Levi, we are all on board with that when it comes to restructuring the Grand Jury Association. Like I told Gibson, or Levi was on the show yesterday. I myself, Levi, I have been, talking and to Tilmore and other people. I said, look, why don't we approach James Djibouti and his administration, and let's see after James Djibouti or turn, instead of having another election, let's put an interim administration in place that will address most of these issues that Levi can just raise. You understand what I'm saying?
So
we will be doing that for Gideon,
because this idea was not proposed by you, or at least enforced by you. Is that why you are having a pushback against it?
No, Mr. Gayechuway, as you are hypothetical. If the election
so what I'm just saying here is that if we do that, we will all be trying to fix something that is wrong. But if people want to say, I mean, like Levi Madison and other people, as soon as you talk about peace and, you know, I mean, we want unity in the community, the very first thing that they will say, oh, until the issue of the wrong that was done to Mr. Gwen.
Did you hear me say that tonight?
And you know, and the reason, you know, and as long as they make that front and center, then they are not talking about. I mean, to me now, then they're concerned is not about unity.
In all fairness, my articulation tonight was void of any of such line. Because I understand
yes, you said that
this Grand GGAD community is bigger than Fred, bigger than you, or bigger than anybody else. So please do not try to articulate my position any more than what I've said here tonight. What I said to you.
Well, I mean, we heard you loud and clear. We heard you loud and clear.
This union, let me conclude. There are structural impediments that will handcuff this union until they are addressed. And we should not pretend to kick the can down the road because we are at loggerhead with folks from GGAD also. But because GGAD is not the only problem here. There are other issues that are equally happening, but because those folks choose not to come to the fore, does not mean that they do not have legitimate concerns. So please, this issue is not about Fred Gwen.
I mean, okay. I mean, they're not coming to
the ground that Fred Gwen laid in the court of law was for the board to rescind her decision of expelling him or detraining him from power. I don't think Fred Gwen still has that as his position right now. That's why I'm saying to you that Fred Gwen, although Fred Gwen, peace is paramount in this community. And
Madison, what really is kind of bothering me is Mr. Gwen, when he speaks on this program or anywhere, he said, I'm done with this. I am not anymore up to the
exactly.
But Jerry Labyrinth, Jerry Grand.
And that's what I said earlier.
So if Mr. Gwen is free with this, if he's okay with this, why is it taking so long for us to come back together? Why is it taking that long?
It's taking so long.
Yeah, why don't you just come back?
Let me answer the question, Mr. Gaychuway. It's taking so long.
Okay.
Or not happen. You have the whole creation. It's a parallel entity.
We're not getting you.
You had a parallel entity with similar standing legally as that of the GGAA. In order for that to be dissolved, mind you now, members of GGAD are also members of GGAA. So that they vote in elections.
Okay.
I myself, in the last elections that brought with the power, I voted in the elections. So I'm myself a member of the GGAD. But what I'm saying here is, yeah, definitely, but such GGAD that is not a member of GGAA.
So what is the problem? They are all part of GGAA or Levi was one of the advisors.
Let me. I'm on the phone. Okay.
Levi Madison, he took part in the last election. So what is the issue?
In view of the fact that we are still members of GGAA, we hold a membership to a parallel entity because of some grievances that happened on the way. What we are saying at this point in time is that establishment has brought it is. I don't know where you are.
No, it's not.
I don't know where you are. Again, it is just kind of denial that deepens the problem.
It's just like Moses P. Harris, like national.
It is just kind of denial that deepens the problem.
Hold on, guys. Okay, if you are watching this program, this is the second in a series of efforts to bring peace in the Grand GGAD community. We are trying to bring back the Grand GGAD Association and the GGAD back to one. And we are discussing the issues that are involved. We cannot get solution without knowing the issues. And so that's why you see we are discussing, we are analyzing the issue. Who is wrong? Who is not wrong? What are the issues? What are the concerns? What are the demands? And so we'll continue this thing next week. We're going to bring additional people, a different group of people here. And we are trying to see if we can bring Mr. Gwen, Mr. Djibouti, Mr. Maye, on here let's hear from them what they think. How is the way forward? But my panelists today are Mr. General Gaychuway, former Secretary General of the Graduate Association and opinion leader in our community. We also have Mr. Levi Khan, the former Vice President of the Graduate Association, now senior executive member of the GGAD, and an executive member and a community commentator, Mr. Mccarvent Levi Madison. They are my guests today. Let me go back to them. Let's switch the conversation a little bit. What are solutions? I mean, what are the solutions that you have? Okay, I will start with Mr. Gaychuway. And I want you to be very clear as much as possible so that people who will be negotiating, people who will be talking, they will know exactly what you want. What do you think would be the ultimate way to solve this problem, Mr. Gaychuway? And then I'll go to the rest of the people.
First of all, the problem that we have is not with the Grand GGAD community. I think we have an issue with the Grand GGAD Association, and that have to do with the way our organization is structured, the board, the constitution, and all of that stuff. Yeah. Just like what Levi Khan said. For Levi, and it is someone that Levi Khan that for me, I'm willing to work with. He said, in order for me to come back to the Grand GGAD Association, these things have to be done. I'm on board with Levi Khan 100%. We all need to put our feet down to see that certain things are fixed within the Grand GGAD Association. If that is the focus, of everybody, and it is not because somebody did wrong to me on this side, the very Levi Khan, both of them here, the kind of languages they have used against me on social media and other stuff. So why can I say, look, these people said this and this and that? I've never insulted Levi Khan before. I've never insulted Levi Madison before. But I got, things that they have said about me, I have it everywhere. What I'm just saying here is that
you don't know when you talk
somebody did it. I'm coming out. So what I'm just saying here is that we have our Grand GGAD Association, and let me just make it clear. For me, I'm not even wanting for GGAD to be dissolved. No, and just like what they say here, they are members of GGAD. They are members of GGAA. The GGAD can run correctly. That's fine. They can be there and also be part of GGAA. At the end of the day, GGAA is the mother organization of Crown people or of Grand GGAD. Not even, I made a mistake, not Crown people, because there are a lot of GGAA members who are not Crown, but they are from Grand GGAD. So GGAA is the mother organization of Grand GGADians. What if anybody can dispute it, or they are parallel, they are, or diagonal, they are, adjacent or whatsoever, that's their prerogative. Yeah, GGAD is like, any other, Grand GGAD organization, whether it be Mose P. Harry or National Sister Bone or Bison District, it's just, like any of these other organizations. So what we should be focusing on is...
Before I switch from you, let me just say this. People are using it against Grand GGAD too. I know a friend who I was talking to just quite recently, and we're talking about peace something, in Liberia, unity in the CPP, and they say, well, you guys in the Grand GGAD, I'm able to put yourself together that CPP, you want to put your more on. So it also affects the morale.
Okay, well, people,
go ahead.
People have their opinions on a lot of things. So like, like to go back to your question, Gibson, you say, what can we, and what is the best way forward? What can we do? What I'm just saying here is that we have the Grand GGAD Association. If we all have our good ideas, let us see if we can fix Grand GGAD Association so that we can avoid some of the things that are happening. Like, Levi continue to say, oh, what led us to do this? What led us to do that? Let's come back to the Grand GGAD Association, redraw up the constitution, put a lot of things into place, so that we don't make some of these mistakes that we make. But if people want to bring in their individual group, they will say, okay, bring Chain District to the table, bring Bison District to the table, bring GGAD to the table, bring all the sexual organizations to the table, bring this and that and whatsoever. Because as far as I'm concerned, those organizations, they are all on the same level. So for somebody to pick one organization and say, oh, this organization is a parallel organization, to GGAA, well, they can feel comfortable in the delusional world. But what I just have to say, is that if we put our cards on the table as Grand GGADians, under the Grand GGAD Association, which is the new entity that brings Grand GGADians together, a lot of things can be, and can be fixed. And if we fix these things, believe me, and void of people personal stuff. People have, and Gibson Jerry here today, and you and I, we are friends. You know what? Gibson himself know when Gibson was running on a Fred as secretary, 2013. And what didn't we do? What didn't we throw at each other in this community? Even Levi or Madison, who's talking here, his uncle or Bobby Turi. Bobby Turi and I now we are best of friends. We even have a name. Kobe, and so no, I'm not saying you. I say your uncle. I said Bobby. Bobby Turi.
I'm speaking for myself. I say you are still our friends because I to speak.
Yeah,
because you cannot counter my views. You block me, which is okay. But if we need peace in this community, like you refuse to see, these are things that once were not the way it is. So if we are to become better once more, we must be able to allay all those things and resolve our differences.
But look, Madison, for us to have, for us to have, Gibson, let people get this straight. For us to have peace in the community does not necessarily mean that people have to be friends. Gibson, Jerry, myself, might not be body, but we can coexist, and we can all belong to the same organization. I block you. Okay, so let me make it clear. I block you. Why didn't I block your uncle? Why didn't I block Bobby? Because
you won't block him as well.
Sister and Gibson. No, I didn't block Bobby. I've never blocked Bobby before. Let me just clarify something, Gibson.
So you blocked me.
Levi Madison, my older sister. I have but let me give the reason now. And maybe you carrying it. Let me give the reason why.
You have
my sister in France. I have my older sister who lived in France, and she posted my picture, and people were commenting. He went under that, my sister post and started to call me dog. Jonathan Gaychuway is a damn dog, and I just felt that. And I still, if you want to
I do not write any such line. Please show the Gibson Jerry. In my advocacy or in my writings,
so if I send it to
Jerry will tell you, I will give you 1,000 out today.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Why would I go to your sister's post as if I'm afraid of you? Why would I go to your post? Even if we disagree, General Gaychuway, I would never call you a dog. You and I have had heated arguments every other day. Have I ever referenced you as a dog?
Okay, so say we are looking for.
Have you not referred to me as a dog in any of the posts? Or
never.
Anything on Facebook? Have you not referred to me as that?
Never. If you show the evidence,
okay.
Yeah, never.
Okay, so let's say we are looking for reconciliation.
With you with that.
Mr. Gayechuway,
and for me, that's the reason for which I blocked him, because I felt that.
Okay, yeah. So let me not explain. You have your time.
I don't block people. His uncle and I, we have been having hot exchanges. I've never blocked him before, and stuff like that. So he's the only person so far I have blocked in the Grand Gida community because of the language that you use.
Exactly.
But you can choose to say how you want.
Saying you already expressed yourself. I want you to think about unblocking him at your own timing. So Levi, he told us.
No. Don't block him. Saying he said he didn't say it. Gibson saying he didn't say it. I will go back into my archive. If I retrieve it and I send it to you, if it is proven that he said it, then based on his response, if I will unblock him or not unblock him, then we'll move on from there.
Okay. We have a deal on that.
Madison, what is that one thing that you believe can bring this unity? How can we proceed?
First and foremost, let me just address what Mr. Gayechuway just said. I mean, for me, I have more than 5,000 friends. I have about 2 pages right now because I'm very opinionated. Wherever I go, I write. People like my writings, they want to debate me, they send me the request. So whether or not I'm friends with General Gaychuway does not add standing for me. But as brothers and as friend people, I think we have to coexist. It's not even friends. As a matter of fact, he's not my friend, he's my brother. So that's why the height of our disagreement, I will never go to the extent of referring to him as a dog. The last time him and I engaged was on, I think, your show. And it was me, him, and Bobby who went into the because he referenced the death of our grandparents. Had it not been for GGAA contribution towards his own going, he would not have it. That was when it got heated on your show. And I did not even call him a dog on your show.
It wasn't. It was on print.
It was on.
It was on print double show.
All right, whichever show it was. All right, whichever show it was, it was on a live program, and I said what I had to say to you, and I made my arguments heard to you that me and my uncle, after what GGAA gave us, we mustered the courage as men to give him a befitting burial in his homeland. But that's the issue. He's gone now. Peace be to his ashes. What is now here to deal with is his brainchild. The GGAA was created, at least was formed by him and his friends, and him being the first president. So I, for one, I see this union as my birthright, my inheritance. So I will take something to nobody in our quest to making sure that it remains vibrant, no matter what happens. But in order for it to be vibrant and stand the test of time, we must address some issues that are A, structural in nature, B, constitutional. And we cannot run away from them. If we are to preclude the recurrence of having the flag, we have to address them. Number one, our both sides is too big. We have members on our board who do not understand the essence on our board. Number two, our constitution is so vague. And it's a recipe for disaster. Anyone who is versed in the English language can take any verse, any article from that constitution and use it or misuse it against anybody who they hate or they like. Number three, we have people in our midst who, because of political interest, go on to violate any law or trample upon anybody because the interest is at stake. What happened to Fred Gaychuway in 2015 or 16, whatever year it was squarely political. It was not because he embezzled any money, at least in my work, because I'm here to see any hard evidence that link him to any act of impropriety that has been said. So in order for us to arrive at the GGAA to hand out our children, we must address those issues. And those issues, until they are addressed, we'll continue to see new victims. You saw what happened in Many. When it was Fred, we all have to say, gentlemen, let us have elections. Later on, they simply not have the Fred. Happened to Many. Many is also aggrieved. Now, Yebote now is acting as if Many now should support him, even though Many also have his history. But because Many is a cry man and he loves the people that are crying in the community, he's now giving in his support. But we cannot continue to use our unions and the various structures to trample upon the rights of our brothers and sisters and say, oh, at the end of the day, they should come back on board. GGAD is a parallel. You ought to play that jingle on your show during the heat of the crisis, where I said to stay in the interest of Nigerians at home and abroad pose a threat to GGAA, which is obviously clear. GGAD is a parallel entity. They have the same structure, the same function, and they are geared towards the same audience. Where Nigerians here and abroad. So until you show me any more difference between what GGAA does and what GGAD does, then the argument cannot be advanced. But in order for GGAD to be dissolved, the issue of Fred Gaychuway has to be addressed. Fred Gaychuway within himself has said, listen.
How do you want to address it?
Okay,
How do you want to address it?
Okay, now, the last time Fred Gaychuway mustered the courage to attend a GGAA function, what happened to him?
What happened?
He was kicked out. So GGAA now must address the Fred Gaychuway situation. Start that.
The time you were kicked out, it was not James Yebote time.
No. The elections in Minnesota. I'm sure you weren't there.
No,
he was kicked.
I know, it's true. It's true. That time James Yebote was not president.
That was
When Gaychuway became president,
Gaychuway was there when he was kicked out.
Yeah, but he was not still president. But when he became president, when he was elected that night, he invited Fred Gaychuway and lifted him and said, Fred Gaychuway, you and myself, we work together and there's no division between us. And since then, he promised to do that.
Yes. So what happens after Gaychuway leaves the scene? A critical person like Gaychuway and the same folks putting him out, re-emerge to GGAA. What happens to him? So this is not a permanent solution. I'm sure you agree with that. So what I'm saying to you, by addressing the Fred Gaychuway situation, it's resolving the issue that he has with GGAA, such that in solitary times.
What do you want to be done about Fred Gaychuway?
Okay. what I want to understand about Frank Weah is for GGAA and Frank Weah to resolve whatever dispute is between them, so that he was expelled. He was impeached from office.
Okay.
And in some people's mind, he's also being expelled. And they are claiming that although he dissolved GGAD, he cannot attend GGAA function and be accorded his due reference as former president of the union. Frank Weah is saying that his removal, his removal was unjust. So there are laws that are in the courts of law. So we also have to retrieve those laws and harmonize them in us. Because
Mr. Jaru,
one minute. Mr. Madison, you raised an issue I wanted to bring on earlier, but I'm looking for an opportunity. If one of the concerns of GGAD is, look, all that suspension, all that removal, impeachment, everything go back and forth, and we want Mr. Green to be free if he wants to. Then he contest presidency, and nobody should be barred for anything. If that is GGAA concern, I'm ready to join that. GGAD. I'm ready to join that. But if your concern is the Constitution should be written before we come, then it becomes difficult because there will be no way that the Constitution will be written before you come.
No, so what we are saying here, Mr. Jerry,
the Constitution can be written together with you being there.
That's what I'm saying. So what we are saying here is essentially arguing for the rebranding, re-imaging, and reconstitution of the GGAA. No. And you only agree to that. That if the laws are not clear, they are vague, they need to be updated. So that's a wholesome endorsement. But let me. He was protecting Mr. Jeru on my floor.
Mr. Jeru.
What you saying though?
Gayechuway. So what I was saying to you,
Mr. Jeru, I was
asked two questions. I'm on the floor.
You nailed the whole thing. You nailed the whole thing on the head. I think I have said
I'm on the floor. I'm on the floor.
Okay, Mr.
No, but I'm on the floor. Let me.
Please, you will have time. Mr. Madison, go ahead.
Okay. So what I was saying, Mr. Jeru, the issues are multifaceted. It's not a one-size-fits-all approach we are arguing for here. Number one, the resolution of the Frank Weah issue is also paramount. But more than that, even though in resolving the Frank Weah issue, we will have to address the constitutional issue as well as the board constitution and other concerns that we raise. But GGAA as a union will have to issue, or at least a conclusion of nullifying every aggression or every position purely held against Frank Weah, so that now he'll be permitted to contest for any office in the union, or at least be allowed to be recognized as a member of the union, because he was in their word, he was a scout. And again about that, when he goes to events, he's not recognized. He is bullied. He's vilified and disgraced.
All right, thank you.
Again, the issue of one sheep going astray. If one sheep goes astray, one Nigerian is mistreated. Every Nigerian, every man with crying blood in his veins is aggrieved. And until that grievances is resolved, there will always be GGAD, because GGAD came into being to re-accord to Frank Weah his lost dignity and respect.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Kine. What do you think is the path to unity? What are the specifics? Mr. Kine, are you hearing me?
Yeah, a little bit. We're having.
My question was, what are those specifics that you think are the path to unity? I think his internet is giving hard time.
Let him go out and come back in.
Yeah, go out and come back again. Okay. So Mr. Gayechuway is not here, but before Mr. Gayechuway comes, Madison, I have been arguing that if we want to move forward, we can.
You asking me again, or you?
Yeah, go ahead. I'm asking you, what are the specifics, the way forward to peace?
Okay, thank you. What I want to go before I start the list 1, 2, 3, and 4 I just want to make it, and I don't know what is very hard for Mr. Gayechuway to understand that GGAD did not send Levi Kind to go on Gaychuway Jeru show and go ask for peace. We want to make it very clear. GGAD is not asking for peace at all. It's not coming to Grand Association and say things are working on one piece. And now what happened here? I'm an individual in the community who think that certain things go wrong, because I can see, for example, I was invited by LSGA to go to his inauguration. And when I went there, to the credit of not to disrespect anybody, a lot of things weren't happening right. So I took upon myself as a human being to help him, do things. The first thing that people are saying in the crowd out loud was, "Oh, GGAD about to take over this place. GGAD. If people coming, they bringing GGAD thing, Grand Association." When you live in a community where people respect you, you respect them, and you're the same people, whenever things start to happen, there's a problem that need to be resolved. It's not normal. Okay, so when I saw that, it rang a bell. I'm like, you know what? The GGAD and GGA thing is not really good among us. I never want the GGAD meeting and call them and say, a few days, they will feel well things, so we'll go back to GGAA. Would never want to discuss it. Never. When I saw Mr. Pine, Mr. Geru, and Samson to put up this so they can start a discussion about how we can make a one community, I thought it had an interest because of my experience. Maybe Mr. Gayechuway had not experienced in the community everywhere you went, people were peaceful and you joined, and GGAD coming up to here and making complaint that GGAD were the people that coming out to here and complaining. Absolutely. I never experienced that. That's exactly how it's been. I never experienced that. I never had GGAD, and I'm the second in power. They never came to me and complained that they wanted to go to GGAA. And I want to make it very clear. And I don't know, too many people don't like Gaychuway in GGAD who will talk to him. I can tell you that. So our way forward is.
Why is that? I mean, that looks like a.
Yeah, well, people come to me and tell me that because he referenced Mr. Gayechuway a lot. I never wanted to insult him. I never insulted him, not one day. He claimed that he never insulted. I heard Mr. Gayechuway insulting people before, but this is not what we come for. For me, we passed by that stage already. We at the stage now, number one, where we need to just forget about what happened. It's been 4 years we've been talking about the one thing that happened and it never resolved to anything. So let's start talking about how we can move forward. And one of the ways we need to move forward is to start the kind of talking and forget about, oh, the person do me like this, the other person do me like this. We are the superior, the other person not superior, the other person educated, the other person not educated. We need to leave that. We need to do an open mind and respect everyone in the process. So, and people will come in and say different things, the reason why, the way they want things to be. And I respect that. My thing is, number one, let's forget about, Fred going to do this, or the other person did it, or Fred going to demand this, or Gayechuway demanded it. Let it go. Let's create a new platform. How can we build an organization that will cater to everybody's need? My way of building an organization that will cater to everybody's need. Let us all come around the table. Levi Khan will say, this board is not working. In order to have a good organization that we all will come to, let's agree that we'll fix the board. We agree to, I'm not saying the board got to be fixed before Levi Khan come. But when we agree that, yes, it's a good idea, Jenny don't give you a Levi Khan, this person, that person will be working on the board situation. How do we do it? Then I know we're fixing the situation. But if nobody discussing the issue, 2, let the Constitution be revised to match the 20th century we're in. We say, yes, we agree. Let Mr. Geru, did a Google writer then, let us start working on the Constitution. Or let's talk about elections. How can we make a reasonable election so that people will not mock people after election? They will not carry a knee around, they kill from somebody. Only because, and I respect our leader, I respect people that give it, and they pay their own money to come and serve us. They'll pay their own money to come to help us. move the organization forward, but we look at it in a different way. You know, and I just saying this sincerely. Mr. Gay, they make in the country do what he do. He been a long time. He got all late in anything he want to do, not bring it do it by himself. You not need Levi kind. The reason why Gay wants to be maybe secretary or president is to help us. A lot of time we don't understand that. We think it's a day, my lay 20 cents I will take from the whole I bring that the biggest thing I'll be costing oil. But you know how much Gay will spend every time Gay goes in now, they will meet with guest speaker, they may spend over $200-300 in there. Everywhere he goes. We don't look at that. How can we bring an electoral system that will not derail our people who are respecting our own community? Those are things for me, if we agree that we address the kind of thing. I will come back to GGAA. That's what I'm saying. However, I'm representing just me here today, being able to talk about this issue freely because I'm not representing anybody to hold me back at this point. If GGAD if they have a meeting, if it comes down to, let's bring people on the table, they bring GGAD, they bring Menye and this and that. If they have their own thing as to what they want to see to be resolved, that will be what the group wants to see. At this point, I don't care who wants what. In my opinion, I pretty much don't care. What I care about is you, Mr. Gaychuway, going out there and you try to say something among your CDC people. They say, oh, my man, shut up more. You grind them, and now you be here to face your own organization. Mr. Gaychuway, go out and get somebody, your friend, and want us and say, oh, man, let you here. You're over there, you say you're no book, your thing divided all over the place. For me, it hurt me in comparison to going and be vice president and putting Lapo down, walking on the GAD, you know, that's not important to me. And hey, from the beginning, we all were angry.
Okay.
I agree. Things went wrong. We all guilty of certain things. It's about time to forego these things and move forward. Thank you.
Okay, let me
and more than that, Mr. Jerry, more than that. Just 1 minute, please.
If I spoke, let me speak to the issue now too. Let me speak to the issue. Levi, thank you very much.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you very much, Levi. You see, Levi Madison, what Levi kind just said.
Yeah.
And I think Gibson Jerry also alluded. I think the place you and us we are different here has to do with, and you know, you're trying to mix the issue of why GGAD was established, or this wrong that was done to somebody need to be righted, and then talk about the Constitution and then talk about the board. These are, to me, these are different issues. Like the way Levi Kine and myself, we are exactly on the same footing. And this is what I say. If you are interested in the issue of, they did this to Fred Gwen, or this is the recent GGAD, and we want this issue to be addressed, that's a separate issue. Bring that issue to the table. Call people. Say, look, maybe you go to the Grand Gideon elders or this and that. Say, look, certain things that were done to us or that were done to this, our individual here, we still want that issue to be addressed. I hope you are getting my point. Then the issue of Grand Gideon Association.
Okay, German, we talk
the issue of Grand Gideon Association.
I'm not sure you carefully analyzed or understood Levi Kine's position here.
Hold on, guys. Hold on. Let me see if I can go to the line here.
Let me.
One minute, please. 1 minute, please. No, I beg to oppose. And Levi Kine is here, and you are willfully misunderstanding his point. But more to that.
What do you mean? I'm willfully misunderstanding the position. He's here. He said, look, we need to forget about this person was wrong, this person was this and that, and let's see how we can fix Grand Gideon Association. And that's exactly my position.
Until each and every Grand Gideon can find in the GGAA a habitat.
Let's take some callers. Hold on. Mariam Kaba. Okay. I think I got to call the other way. Mariam, I'm going to call you on the other line, okay? So you can make your input. Let me see.
Every Grand Gideon is welcome back home, Levi Madison. Every Grand Gideon is welcome. We have a room for you.
Why was Fred Grant out of the hall when you were there? It was welcome.
Fred, you're welcome.
Okay. Wait a minute. When I was there, but what power did I have in the hall that night?
Oh, okay. So that means
people have been saying
that every Grenadian, that not every Grenadian is welcome in GGAA. Like Levi said to you earlier, he went to a GGAA event and he was vilified. So stop joking.
Hold on. Let's go to the line. Caller, what's your name?
Alex G.
Hey, Alex, welcome here. Sorry, I've been holding you on there. Alex, what's your
that's the platform that they used to use to attack me there. That's the attack platform. Okay. Welcome, Mr. G.
I even wanted to Jerry, you are to tell the caller now.
Okay.
I wanted to go to his inauguration. Mr. G, why didn't you invite me to your inauguration? I would have come. Actually, I would have attended his inauguration.
I mean, nobody was a place. I mean, somebody on the phone. I mean, are we going to be talking across the floor with somebody is on the phone? I mean, that's.
Okay. I'm addressing Mr. G. I say if you had invited me to his inauguration, I would have attended.
This is not a baby for that, my brother.
We're not fighting, guys. We're not fighting. Mr. J, go ahead. What's your
question? I shouldn't greet the man, Levi Madison.
You are interrupting the man's speech. You got.
I said,
if you care about that, you could have called him, but you choose not to call him.
You are welcome. I said, Mr. G, you are welcome. Why didn't you invite me to your inauguration? I would have attended.
That's an interruption. You speak across the phone. You not recognize the man. Let me take a call. Let the call us.
No, the man didn't speak.
You win.
You talk about there is no room in GGAA. I'm trying to make room for everyone. And you know.
Okay, LJ, what you say?
Okay, good evening, Mr. Jeru, and thank you for your platform this evening, and thank you for accepting my call. First of all, I'm not here to speak as Grand GGAA chapter president. I'm here to speak as Mr. Eris Blendi G.
How is that possible?
No, I'm speaking for myself right now.
Anything you say is an official statement, my man. Go ahead.
The community, the whole will wake up, the chapter that said they will go there, they will do their own thing. They can't come back to their chapter to make report.
Yeah, that's true.
Then the chapter on their own, they do what they want to do, then they come back, they sit down, they close their mouth. So for them to come here and say, AYZ person are talking on my own, no, they'll say, I vote for our resident chapter. That's when they still making a decision down there when they come back, when noise came, or when noise come about, then I hope Grand GGAA will be accepted. And the problem we're facing now is like some of you discussing here, so I'm not here to speak as the chapter president. I'm talking for myself. Mr. Jerry, I'm so happy today to listen to Mr. Gaychuway and others discussing the unity of Grand GGAA community. But still, the way I see it, I don't think Mr. Gaychuway is even ready for Grand GGAA to be united.
Why?
Let's go to the fact. Because for the man to sit there and not still recognizing that we have problems in the community, it's very sad. It's not easy about first now. Let's go first on one side. Nigeria has divided, period. May you get a group, may you have Munya, that honor mind the GGAA, but they don't see it that way. The only thing they focus on that first there. Because first there create or found a GGAD. Yes, they found a GGAD based on the injustice. And I supported first there. I'm still supporting it. For me, I'm a bona fide member of GGAD. I am the president of GGAA. I'm a bona fide member of GGAA. I'm proud to.
How are you doing it? Are you eating with two hands?
No, I'm not eating. I am eating with in the GGAA.
So you president of the Grand. Wait, 1 minute, Alex.
I'm coming to that point.
You president of the Grand GGAA Association chapter, and you serious supporter of GGAD.
Bona fide member of GGAD.
Very good.
Two different organizations, if possible.
Registered member of GGAD. Why? Because nothing in the GGAA constitution that forbade me for not being part of any other organization within the diaspora or within the Grand GGAA community. That's my point. That's one right there. Two, if they will forbid me for being part of GGAD, then I think they will stop me for being part of most of the and say, bon, then all that thing will put it in the GGAA.
Thank you.
But as long
as right.
I agree.
I can see you with any Grand GGAA I want. When I was running for election, they said, man, a GGAD member, but who is the president today than me?
Because you bring substance to the table. Substance.
it had nothing to do with this. Who want to be president? Who don't? Injustice had nothing to do with who want to be president. Who don't want to be president. The problem we're facing here now, Mr. Jeru, is they generate engagement men and their group. Let's be real. Nobody hates those people.
Are you guys trying to antagonize General Gaychuway for his strong stance?
I don't think that's strength. I think that divisiveness. I don't think that's strength.
People are listening.
That's okay. That's okay. That's okay.
That's the fact.
Okay, so let me ask you, Alex, what is the best way? What specifically need to be taken care of for GGAD to be dissolved and everybody come to GGAA?
Okay. For me, I personally, I even called Mr. William. I called the VP, Honorable Levi Madison, that's right there. He's my brother and president, he's my cousin. I talked to these people one-on-one, on my own. Those people don't even have problems with grandchildren coming back together. First of all, that what Levi was saying, look at when Fred went to the 2019 convention. They did not even allow the man to say anything, they don't even gain the chance. Why? So the Fred grantee is personal. Let me give you a little example. Yes, James Bote, I supported James Bote, I campaigned for James Bote because James Bote said I funded the Koropa show that I used to have. So the James Bote is the president. And people that all along in the community, a genital disease from what you do, you will never ever be the president of GGAA. As long as we in the community.
Who tell you I want to be president?
You want to be president? Don't deny that. That's your dream.
Be the next president.
So if the man recognize the president today, you will be a campaign manager?
Who president?
Johnny? Never.
If you say,
Never.
Problem, let's solve the problem.
Oh, yeah.
Johnny, can I be a community, please?
Yeah, no, we already for peace. Anybody can be a leader in the community and we'll move forward. Now, let me give you a little example. They Janita Gaychuway and I was speaking all around here doing Fred Granter. Where are they today? All of them, they fill their mouth. They're running GGAA now. For on a what constitution is running the GGAA? James Bote right now is not supposed to be the president of Grand Jury Association. I can pay for James Bote, but I'm speaking because some of us, we don't support people based on friendship. We support people based on their platform. And I supported James Bote based on his platform, but it's time finished. It's finished. James Bote should have called for many conventions, so we or either general Senate conference, so we can elect our election commission and go to election this year. The message they're in Corona. They have behind the Corona thing now. They say Corona now, even they not declare US Corona free. Why are you calling for fundraising in Philadelphia? Is that fair to the Grandian? Let's also let's be real with each other. Is that fair to the Grandian? I and other few chapter presidents, we disagree with that. I think for us to set up internal leadership that will lead us to election. I'm not going to support anything he's doing. Not because I campaign for him, I supported him in the past. No, I'm not going to support anything Jesus will do until we do the right thing. During the other time when they just asked for 2 months, they refused. They said the election got to go on. American high election, country around the world high election. Why Jesus Bote running around for his, running away from the election? Why we the chapter say we high election? Other few chapters that have to recognize our president and the election we have. But why it comes to the national leadership now, they're running away. Then all of your now, you're the media poster, all of your your mother, nobody talking. They'll do the right thing in the community so we all can live in peace.
All right. Sounds good. Thank you very much, Alex. And,
Thank you, Mr. I don't want to go far. Yeah.
No problem. By next month, I intend to bring the grant there.
One more thing, please.
Yes.
Mr. Gaychuway, nothing personal, big brother. You my big brother. I'm 41 years old. I know you can't for me, my big brother. Nothing personal. I'm sorry if I did respect you in any way in the past, but we got to speak the truth. Okay, and for my inauguration, I invited you. I can send you the letter right now. I invited the Chin district, the Bobo, the Boston district. I will send you the letter if I have your email. Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, let's go back to Gaychuway because
you say if you
Gaychuway is known for making things that are not based on facts. Again, he has them in the disputing.
Mr. G, you say if you have my email, you will send me the letter. So then how was I invited?
There are other means that you can send the letter without knowing your email. It was mailed to your address or sent to your the headquarters of the organization over which you preside.
I just wanted to find.
Maybe they give a letter to Paris Baujira.
Okay. All right, Mr. G, we'll talk. We'll talk.
I don't.
Okay.
Okay, Mr. G, go ahead with your further comment.
Thank you. Anyway, you know, it's a good thing that we are talking. First of all, let me just clarify certain thing to my brother LFG and Levi and other people who are out there. You know, just like what Mr. Levi kind of rightfully said, some of us, when we came to this organization, we came to contribute, and you know, we came to give to our people. I mean, I didn't come to Grand GGAA Association because I was looking for money, because I was looking for, you know, recently I was in Liberia. My mother passed away, so I went to Liberia, and one of our fellow Grand GGAAns here wanted me to bring something for her, so she sent her relative to my house, and you know, to come and get whatever it is for me, and you know, for me to bring back to her. And when the guy came to my house, he called his sister and like, wow, you know, this guy who house you sent me to, and you know, I mean, I can't believe it. If you see his, I'm not saying this to boast or whatsoever, but I'm just saying, and, you know, to just collaborate or corroborate what Levi said. You know, sometimes it's sad when people come and say, oh, the man, you know, he wants the money or he wants this, and I'm like, wow. People don't even know what we put in personally, and you know, to Grand GGAA Association. And all of you here, you can allude to that. You know, you have made personal sacrifices, contribution, transportation, here, there, and this and that and whatsoever. If some of us we want to take, I don't even know how much Grand GGAA Association have, then our own money that we're spending, and you know, why we can just take our own money and just eat it, you know, and we have to put it in the organization. So for me personally, and you know, I came into this thing to contribute something. This is why I said, look, you know what? If this is how the organization is running, if you have to literally bribe people, and you know, in order for you know, for them to vote, you know, transport people, pay you know, their registration fees and this and that. I'm trying to come in. Exactly, because I didn't want to go through it. I told my campaign team, no, we are not going to do it. We have over $5,000 left in our campaign funds. And, you know, I said, we're not transporting anyone. Look, people, we have to have principle. If other people would do it, maybe they have their reason for doing it. I don't know what they want out of it. For me, I didn't want anything out of it. So why would I be there to pay people hotel and, you know, I mean, transport people to go? You are a Grand GGAAN. And I think you should make that sacrifice. If you go in there to go and elect someone, you should be supporting the person. You even supposed to contribute to the person campaign, because you want somebody good and, you know, somebody who knows what they are doing to lead the organization.
All right, go to the issue.
So I can say that, look, if I do this, if I do that,
Johnny,
I'm
go to the
buying
issue.
Position. And for me, I don't think that, you know, that's something I'm prepared to do. So just like if I said that, I said it publicly, I said, you know what, I'm not interested into, look, my man, go to sleep. If you don't want to listen to other people talk, you can go sleep.
No,
so I'm just clarifying something. Because
you have 2 minutes to speak. You don't have the whole day to talk about your elections.
One of the people here who are saying that never and this and that, so I just want to make it clear to you why I'm not interested and, you know, into whatsoever, whether GGAA and, you know, leadership or anything. So that's it. Let me just clarify that. Now, and, you know, to come back to the issue and, you know, let us. So like I said, look, I think we have gone around this thing over and over and this and that, and we are all just heading towards the same point. You know, like I said, fixing Grand GGAA Association, whether it be the Constitution, whether the board and all of that stuff, it will take everybody's collective effort. If people feel that they are aggrieved, and you know, and they want their grievances to be addressed, that's something else. We should not mix the two. And that is my position. If GGAD, you know, I'm not even saying GGAD because Levi made it clear that he's not here for GGAD and nobody is negotiating. But if people within GGAD, like Levi Khan, who feels that one of the cardinal issues that need to be addressed, according to him, wrong were done to certain people in GGAD, and those wrongs should be addressed. Levi or Madison, I'm not saying that's a wrong thing, but what I'm saying, that's a different issue. It's different from those of us who want to say, look, my people, we want to make our Grand GGAA Association a viable organization. We need a way forward. We need to restructure this organization. We need to fix this constitution, and we need to put certain things in place. We can do that collectively, and it will require you, it will require Gibson, it will require Levi Madison. We should not mix it with if somebody has complaint. And you know, to say, oh, first of all, let's address this, then we fix the constitution. No, those are two separate issues. That's why you and myself disagree. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, so, Mr. Madison.
Yeah, you see, again, Johnny is confused about the issue at hand because for him, he does not see the correlation between the grievances that Fred Guyana sustained that led to the creation of the GGAD. All he sees or all he perceives in his mind is that the bylaws needs to be fixed. But it was the corrupt bylaws that led to Fred Guyana being aggrieved. So we can do it in one process by simultaneously resolving the Fred Guyana issue and addressing the constitution that you agree is faulty. It was a faulty constitution, or at least the misapplication of the provision of the law that saw the suspension or expulsion or impeachment of Fred Guyana. So if you agree that that bylaw was faulty, then we must also be willing to admit Fred Guyana's grievances that also led to his disrespect and sustenance of injustice, so much so that at a GGAA event, he was kicked out, much to your elation. So I don't see how you see that as a difference.
You have that I was elated?
I saw you on the video. I was there myself. And besides, I'm on the floor. When you're speaking, I point to report, but I didn't know. Let me go.
The man rejoice.
Yeah.
Because they
yeah, because they put my brother out. I was rejoicing.
Yeah. No, they put your ass rapper out. So don't call me a brother yet now. He is your ass rapper. You are set out to undermine, to dehumanize, to devalue, to dismiss everything that Fred Guyana stands for. And until you as a person can harmonize, I'm on the floor. I'm on the floor. I'm on the floor. I'm on the floor.
Has no issue. Fred Guyana as an individual is a good guy. I like Fred Guyana. In fact, anytime I go to
you like him,
it is people like you who led Fred Guyana to his demise. Fred Guyana himself as a person.
Fred Guyana is still alive. He's still alive and well. So I don't know when you are demise.
Like I said, anytime I go to Philadelphia, the only thing I will not eat the only thing I will not eat there because I don't want to I will not eat there, but I will
again you are using words again without understanding the meaning. Let me my point. On a serious note, like LSGA rightfully said, until the GGAA can be a forum where every ingredient, big or small, fair or many, can be welcomed, respected, honored, and valued, there will be the creation of other groups to create habitat for those people. So if GGAA is ready to unveil all of us as the mother union in the diaspora, the issue with Fred Guyana, many and others who are agreed must be resolved. And in resolving their issues, we must look at the events that led to the crisis that we agree. Until that happens, we are doomed. And I don't see how Gayechuway does not see the correlation between what happened to them and what is the GGAA for them.
Well, are you saying that Levi doesn't see the correlation too? Because Levi said here clearly.
He does. He did say it.
Well, he said it clearly. He said, look, we need to put everything behind us. We need to fix.
In putting it behind us, we must set the path straight.
Okay.
Those are two different issues. I'm saying, for another forum. For us, our interest is we want to restructure the Grand GGAD Association. We want for the Grand GGAD Association, and certain things that have been going wrong with regard to the structure and this and that. That's where all the problems have been coming from. Let's fix that, and you will see. But if we continue to dwell on the past, that look.
And folks like you who set out to undermine and antagonize others for no reason whatsoever.
And folks like you who set out to insult other people online, who set out to whatsoever, then we have to also go back and deal with you too. Well, where are we heading? Because every one of us will say, look, the person wrong me. So
Okay,
Yeah,
the two people I gotta mute them to bring in Levi Khan. Okay, guys, you guys are not on air. You're not your audio not on, so your stop. So stop. Your audio not on. So hold on. I muted your audio. Okay, I put your audio back on. I want Levi Khan to speak, please. I want Levi Khan to speak. So Levi, go ahead.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Geru. I like this conversation.
You're the good guy now.
I know, but I understand where Gayechuway coming from. I understand where Madison come from. And literally, if he brought maybe 50 Grandian here, they will all be coming from different angles as such. And maybe if we felt that what happened just automatically went away, maybe we were wrong. But the way to resolve it, like we all saying now, is to find the actual root cause that brought about all these issues. If the root cause is fixed, and maybe if we say, like other people are proposing, even Mr. Gayechuway himself said, interim government and this and all the roundtable kind of thing, who knows where the conversation will lead? For me, if it led to people from GGAA coming and people from GGAD, people from wherever want to sit on the table and say, hey, let's talk something, and this is what Grand G they want. Who am I to say, let's do their first before we do their second and do their third? The Grand G want certain thing, but our role is to educate or is to bring forth how can we resolve this issue. I think that's what we're doing now, and emphasizing those ills within the Constitution, the board structure, things that happen, and it is because of that. And maybe I can come in and say, what, why Janitor Head Levi will resolve the issue. It's not possible. The individual thing, we are two adults. If I don't like Janitor, I don't like Janitor. Janitor don't like me. There's no way people will put Janitor and Levi together to be friends. We are two adults. But if there's something in the system that we need to fix, one of the reasons I never supported Mr. Pine. Mr. Pine always referenced that when we were talking. One reason I never supported in the bowl, it wasn't like I was supporting Thelma. The things Thelma do, I was not big fans. My thing, I was, and still maybe even when I was with GGAA as a vice president, also as a GAD vice president now, I like people to put system in place that certain things you don't like will never happen again. That's the way I look at things. Let move Janitor Gayechuway because Janitor Gayechuway not bully, not drinking. It's not the problem. In case you put some standard in place that Janitor Gayechuway is supposed to live by, Janitor will be a good leader. I brought forth, like when on the board, I said, let's have a financial financial guideline. Let's have a financial policy or detailed financial policy that we will live by. And we didn't listen at the time. But people wanted to kind of just move somebody and other person can. When I agree with the other, let's move the person and bring the other person. It's not it. And that's the problem we have now with Grand Association and everything else that we're doing now, is we don't change the system, we change people. So my appeal is that people who out there understand, all of you get angry, somebody insult their friend, the other person did it. And let me be frank, myself, the only real insult I saw that I read the banner myself, really went out of it. I may have insulted people accidentally, even without me thinking about it. And that's not me. Janitor know how I was brought up. I was raised in a very tight Christian family. I respect people. But people say,
I took a lot of heat from you guys on the LFGA team. I will look for your recording.
Yeah, I can't deny if I said something. To be frank, Mr. Gayechuway, I can't deny that. People say something along the line, and I agree to it. That's why I'm asking every Grandian to really let everything go. It will be tough to do, but let it go. Let me just give a simple example. We got some friends, and everybody knows some of the friends I will tell about. Like my sister who in Iowa, Evelyn Penu. One time, my Christian just gave my head. I called Evelyn Penu on the phone. When Evelyn saw my phone, it was almost like some devil from somewhere was trying to call somebody. And few other times she picked up, she said, Levi, what you want from me? What you want? You want gather information? I said, no, mommy. This thing is over now. That friendship I'm looking for all the play now. Anybody I call, if I heard you before, I'm sorry. That friendship I'm looking for around.
And Ellen, I now, you know, I can call Ellen with peace now, anything. And my wife can pass to a horse or go to Iowa or do this. That's exactly for me. That's what I want in this community. So thank you, Mr. Jerry, for allowing us to come on the platform again. Again, I'm not representing GGAD. I'm representing a group of people who want peace to be in the community. Thank you so much.
Okay, guys, thank you very much. Please, I may call on you to when I'm calling other people to make sure that the debate goes on. And I really want to thank you very much. I believe it was civil. There were some instances where we had to be heated, yeah, but there was respect. And I say thank you very much, guys. I really appreciate that. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Jerry. And we look forward to we look forward to seeing more of this. But in the future, try to make it 2-2. And you know, you can't have one guy, even though Levi can't continue to say. Levi continue to say that, oh, I'm not here on behalf of you wearing GGAD clothes. You speaking GGAD. Everything about you.
No, I never got into debate with you, Janetta. I would have debated you, but no, it's not what I'm here for. I'm here in the middle to push a certain idea.
LSGA came here. He said, the man president of a chapter. Then he said, I'm not here as GGAA chapter president. So then you here as one. You know? So I mean, yeah. Exactly. So next time, and you know, let us make it balance. But it was a good show. I mean, again, like I said, I mean, I'm going with Levi Kine. Levi said, look, let's put everything behind. One person was not agreed, and you know, within the community. A lot of things happen for every one of us. So let us move on.
All right, thank you.
Me be so into you. When you want it, me be so into you. When you want it.